shirt. Good.
Hey everybody, Jerrod here. I'm at the home estate of Rufus King. Rufus King was one of the signers of the U.S. Constitution, and this was his home. I'll show you a little bit more around the area here as I talk, but this was a 150 acre farm. It was an operating, functional, profitable farm, and it's now owned by the city, and it's kind of an embarrassment. This is part of our American history here. This is part of our legacy. And this Rufus King was a staunch anti-slavery man. He fought against slavery for most of his life. And let's see, I think he bought this property in something like 1806. So he was older. It was many years after, obviously, signing the U.S. Constitution. And he actually bought this property to retire. And he grew the property to about 150 acres and turned it into a functional, profitable farm. And then, because of things that were going on politically, he decided to get back into politics while he lived here, and he did that. And he also had a family, raised a family. As you can see the house in the background here, but his son ended up buying the farm after his father passed away, and then his son lived here for up until his death, and then his granddaughter or his son's daughter was the last person from the family that lived here on the property. The property, some of the family must have sold off some of the property over time, because as you can see, it's only about 11.5 acres now, where it was about 150 acres when it was actually being farmed. So you can kind of see the neighborhood around it here, which is quite interesting, because most of everything that we see, even though this is in a way some of it is kind of modern, more modern looking now, this was all farmland back in the early to mid 1800s. And so to me, I always think about, what was growing over there, and what did they have planted over there, and just imagine 150 acres that has to be farmed by hand, and worked by hand, and planted by hand, and weeded by hand, and harvested by hand, by the people that worked on that farm in that time. So anyway, just a neat piece of American history here. But I think that one of the most relevant things for us today is that this is in the heart of, I think this is called Jamaica, Queens area, and it seems like a rather rough kind of a part of town, but this property was taken over by the city in around 1900, maybe a year or two before 1900, and turned into a museum. But it just doesn't seem like it's really well taken care of, and that's kind of disappointing, because it's a big piece of American history. Well, not a big piece, but it's a significant piece of American history. I think anybody that was prominent back in the day when the Constitution was being ratified and developed and signed is a significant piece of American history. So we ought to take care of that, and we also ought to celebrate Rufus King as a man who fought against slavery staunchly, something that I think all Americans agree with and would fight equally for today. So anyway, we were just here in the New York area, and I knew this was local to where we were at in terms of our flight. We're flying out of JFK, and so I thought we would stop here and just take a quick look at Rufus King's home. read something for you that a friend of mine just sent me. It says, perhaps you and I have lived too long with this miracle called America to be properly appreciative of freedom, and that freedom is a fragile thing. It's never more than a generation away from extinction. It is not ours by way of inheritance. It must be fought for and defended constantly by each generation. For it comes only once to a people, and those in world history who have known freedom and then lost it have never known it again. This was said by Ronald Reagan in 1967 inaugural address. I don't know if that date is right, but it's a very powerful statement. Those in world history who have known freedom and then lost it have never known it again. Let's defend America. Let's restore America.
American values do not align with leftists because they hate America. We must engage by giving our dollars and our talents to defend our great American values. Visit JerrodSessler.com to donate and get involved. Say yes to America.